and the person that confessed didn't have anything on him. So they're still looking for the shooter right now, is what a firefighter just told me like about 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
Horrific details there from that.
Interesting. Isn't that what the other guy said? It wasn't the right guy. Who knows what's going on? That's why people stop trying to get the word out and say this person said this or that person said that. We don't know at this point. But what I do know, what I 100% can confirm, is that MSNBC is a steaming pile of dinosaur excrement. Is the nicest way I can say it. But I want you to listen to this. I want you to see this and listen to this. And as you're listening to it and watching, watch the person who's talking, the host, and tell me if you think she's not even comfortable saying the words that she's saying. Almost as if someone's telling her, say this. It is so, this is sick.
Because as we were just talking about a moment ago with Alan, after one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that. And I know it's hard to predict the future, Mark, but you can imagine the administration using this as a justification for something.
I must admit, I'm at a loss to guess as to what happens next, but
unbelievable. These people are beyond help. John Solomon. Well, no, I'm not going to say it because I'm not even going to put it out there. Not even going to put it out there until we can confirm something. But there's rumors everywhere. Please stop. But as you watch that woman talk, you could see it didn't seem like she felt comfortable saying it. Very weird.
I know we want to focus on, I'm sorry, Will, I know we focus on what a great individual Charlie is, and he is. The whole thing is just so hard. I just can't believe the guy's an unstoppable force. He's a dynamo, and I'm just praying for him with every fiber of my being, because he's a father, he's a husband, he's a great friend, he's a great been a great mentor to so many young people in particular all over the country. Built an incredible international organization, helped deliver this amazing win to Donald Trump in the last election. He's just a critical figure for our time right now, and I'm just, with every fiber of my being, I'm sitting here just hoping Charlie's going to be okay. I just can't believe this is where we are. And Will, I know you and I just feel like any moment now we're just hoping we get good news.
Buck, you don't have to apologize for being a human being and how you feel today. It's a complicated mix of emotions that are both personal and also terrifying for our country and where this leads America. I'm simultaneously sad, like you, Buck, and I'm also very angry. And I'm sitting here today trying to do my best to make this something that everyone understands on an objective level, a rational level in America. On that note, Jonathan, I'd love to turn to you. Right before...
Now, before he goes, we hear that from that guy, just more evidence, in case you haven't been confirmed yet, that we're in a war. Libs of TikTok just posted this. 2 Democrat Michigan reps refused to join the other legislators in prayers for Carlie Kirk. So the Michigan legislative group, their Congress per se, decided to take a moment in prayer. And they all began praying, and these two here, they didn't stand up. They didn't stand up, didn't care. Didn't care. Evil runs amok in the Democrat Party.
Carlie Kirk knew his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and that puts me at ease about Charlie. I hope that's not the case, but that is an uplifting thing, and for everybody to put them at a little bit of ease as far as the outcome of this. But I will tell you this, I put on my work face now, and my work face tells me that that witnesses are only partially good at this point because of the violence that was just shown there and the trauma that they're experiencing. So we have to take what the witnesses say with a grain of salt. This could have been a distance shooting. There was plenty of elevation for a shooter to get up to. And I know that law enforcement that's coming in there, I don't know about this campus security. I don't know how good they are, if they're police. But as law enforcement comes in there, I would hope that they don't just sit on this one individual and they say that, okay, that's the shooter, and they stop right there. So they still need to be treating it as an active shooter, which is probably why they have considered the campus on lockdown, so that they can continue to look for other people. There will be reports come in that will say that there was more than one shooter, because that's what witnesses see. They think they see somebody that does something that and they turned around or they made a movement, and so they will assume that that was a shooter as well. So, but they'll have to look at all of those things. I will say, so my company does threat assessments. We have different entertainment tours that we travel all over the world with, and we do threat assessments on a daily basis. And venues, we do our own threat assessment, and then we coordinate those with the venues and law enforcement when possible. And college campuses are notoriously bad for having little to no security, and they don't want to participate. And so this is something that's an issue. And for an outdoor event like this, it is a very dangerous circumstance for people who are influencers and who speak out and can sometimes anger the left. This is not presidential security. So Charlie had his security detail, but there's only so much they can do to secure the college because they're not authorities. So I think it could have been close up. It could have been far away. Both of those are possibilities at this point in time. But it was a shot that was, I think, going to be heard round the world, just regardless of whether Charlie lives or he passes. This is something that's going to affect the future of this nation.
To the point of security detail, Jonathan, Buck, Maureen, anyone that knows Charlie knows he also does travel with a security detail. Of course, that detail would not be of the size or ability to manage a crowd of 2,000s, but for security threats closer to Charlie. The point of me sharing that information is to say that Charlie knew there were potentially threats on his life, and he continued bravely to go out there. And
I've got a video by Steven Crowder that I'd like to play for you guys.
Hey, we don't know any more than you do right now. We're watching CNN. Everyone here I know has been praying for Charlie Kirk, the Kirk family, the state of our country, obviously. And right away, they're already spinning stuff on CNN. Like I said, we don't have all the information yet, but I do know what they're saying is wrong. They're saying this is something now that, just heard them say, this plagues both sides. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't plague both sides. One side has to risk their life and limb to express opinions, and the other acts with complete impunity. I can't tell you how many times I've been in that situation and been called a Nazi, and Charlie Kirk. All of us have. We've all been called Nazis, fascists, and just like President Trump being shot, my God, some people out there believe it. And let's why is Charlie Kirk a Nazi? Why is he a Nazi? He's one of those Israel supporting Nazis, apparently. Why is he any more of a Nazi than you or the next guy? Because he supports lower taxes? Because he thinks we should have borders? And he gets shot? This changes everything. You can say both sides if you're talking about presidents. Yeah. You can't say both sides, that both sides go out into public with the same level of fear as non-office holding citizens expressing an opinion. And now they're saying this is really just shows we need to bring down the temperature. Oh, really? After the bullets fly? After the bullets fly? I tell you, the temperature can be brought down when you uncall us Nazis. When you uncall us, make sure that everyone out there who believes your bullshit, genocidal maniacs trying to erase trans people, when you unring that bell, then we can talk about bringing down the temperature. But right now, someone with opinions that up until 4 years ago, give or take, would be offensive to nobody, is shot. And because what, economic policy? His kids don't deserve to have a dad? What, because he doesn't think that kids should be given puberty blockers? And because he has the balls to go out and say it in public as opposed to from behind a news desk? No, this is a
running out, and then that's when I took cover.
All right, let's bring in Sage Steele, who was set to speak at a conference.
a changing moment, because that could be, I mean, it could be any of us on a laundry list of people. And so the culture now, and this is what really sucks, it's terrorism. It's, do you want to go out and try and change hearts and minds? Do you want to affect the country? Do you want to have an impact? Do you want to enough to not leave your children fatherless? How much do you want to express that people should have the right to free speech? How much do you want to? Because you just may get shot. You know what else? It's not, I hate to speak this, but it's, you think this stops here? Do you think this stops here? I see people online say, oh, I wish the bullet a happy day. Shit like that. You think this stops here? It's very clear that this is what, and not only is it a clear sign of what's to come, the response makes it even clearer. Because the response is both sides, man. Tell you what, when you can unring the bell of calling us and Carlie Kirk, calling everyone on this side of the political spectrum a Nazi, a fascist, a racist, a transphobe, a homophobe, a threat to democracy, the biggest domestic terror threat that exists, white, straight, conservative males. Until you can unring that bell, there's no calming it down. There's no, let's let these temperatures simmer, because the bullets were fired on your command, not ours, on your command. So until you unring that bell, I say supreme, unfettered aggressivity. The only language that these people, meaning radical leftists and, yeah, a lot of the media speak, is fear and violence. That's the only language they speak. We don't burn down cities, and of course we shouldn't start. Let's let temperatures cool? No. No, because if we all do that, you get away with it. God forbid those. I don't even want to say. Charlie, at best, a life-altering injury, and you can say, yeah, but then afterwards we realized. No, you knew before, you know now, and now so do we. And it is going to be painful, and it should be for the people who put us in this place.
Can I co-sign that? Can I put an underscore to that? It is going to be painful, and yeah, so it's going to be even more painful. I do have a report, but I from a very reliable source. SV just sent me something, but I choose not to post it because I don't know who's got the right information. I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing conflicting stories. Wow, I've gotten chills. I'm getting chills on my arm because well, you know what I'm holding back, because somebody has confirmed that the ultimate bad news, but I haven't seen it. And wow, I'm actually getting chills even talking about it. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until we see a somebody of authority walk out and say it. I want to see a university president, a police officer, somebody of authority come out and give us the real news, because now there's something spreading all over the place. And I'm sure that's what Fox is waiting for. I'm sure that's what everybody is waiting for, something official. I don't know who's saying this. Let me see if anything on Turning TPUSA is saying anything, but normally a very reliable source that I follow a lot on X is giving some seriously bad news. Let me see. I don't see anything here. 1 second. No, I don't see anything on TPUSA, so I don't know. Don't know. SV, thank you for the information, but I'm not going to confirm it. Let me look around.
No, Carlie, forget about his politics. Forget about what he stands for in that way. He is a good, incredible Christian man who loves his wife and loves his kids and wants all of us to do the same and be vocal about that and bring families back in this country. Is that so bad?
Right.
I don't know where to go forward from today. And I think that's okay that we don't all have the answers right now. Like, we all have to really think deeply about this. I thought it was already as bad as it could get. Apparently not.
I think it is okay. I think it is okay, Sage. And, you know, I appreciate you pointing out that the man that has been vilified by many who disagree with him neglect to understand the quality of the human being that is Charlie Kirk. Set aside whatever he stands for in his political beliefs, but the actual man is a good man. And I think that goodness is revealed in his willingness to engage, his excitement to engage with those who disagree, Sage. He's gone on Gavin Newsom's podcast, and it's no small bit of symbolism that the event he was at today was designed in many ways to bring on people who disagree with him. Prove me you're wrong. Prove me I'm wrong. You know, that he's done over and over again. And the rebuttal, at least in this case, has been a gunshot.
When I have watched him over the last couple of years, with his social media presence growing as he goes on to college campuses, which started with just small conversations have turned into this with thousands of people, the way he does it is beautiful. You might not like his answers. You might not like to face the facts that Charlie Kirk puts out there, but he does not scream and yell. He doesn't silence people. He allows them to have a microphone and have a voice and then responds. He is doing what we all should be doing, which is having a conversation, listening, and then responding. Charlie Kirk has done it the right way from day one. He has made this country better because he encourages conversation and then comes back with his facts and in some cases opinions. He's done it the right way.
I don't know who's orchestrating things on the left right now, but it's not God.
My sympathy to Charlie Kirk's family and to Charlie Kirk, who obviously has, become a target for somebody. I don't know whether it's political violence because I don't know who did it. I know they seem to have somebody in custody. But I will say that political violence, unfortunately, has been ratcheting up in this country. We saw the shootings, the killings in Minnesota. We've seen other political violence occur in other states. And I would just say it's got to stop. And I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. We've seen the January 6th rioters who clearly, have tripped a new era of political violence.
President Trump and January 6th. President Trump and January 6th, says Pritzker. These people really try my Christianity. I don't like wishing ill on anybody, but January 6th and Trump. I cannot confirm what you guys are saying, and so it will not come out my mouth until I hear it from a very viable source. So you guys can listen to whoever you want in terms of saying that, but I'm not going to be that person.
College campus there for one of his Turning Point USA events. Thousands of kids gathered in Utah to watch, as they are often done in colleges across this country. According to the New York Times, the man taken into custody earlier today in Utah was not actually the shooter, according to the university.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
Well, there's no more definitive source than President Trump. President Trump, at this point, has posted. This is tough. This is really tough. 3 minutes ago, the great and legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me. He is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you. That was posted, as you can see, at 4:40 p.m., 5 minutes ago. President Trump posted that. I have not seen it on any other newswire, but I can take that as the fact. That allows me to now make the statement that Charlie Kirk has died. Wow. Wow.
The heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and his family. Charlie, we love you. Charlie Kirk, according to the President of the United States, is dead. I don't really know where you go from here. I don't know where we go from here in a news program, and I don't know where we go from here in America. I don't know what's left for us as a country to discuss when even a discussion and a debate over the issues results in violence that leads to the death of a good man in this country. I believe Greg is still on the phone with us now. Greg, who served with Charlie for 7 years at Turning Point USA in a security detail. Before we go back into our conversation, Greg, I would just love to get your reaction.
I have no words to describe what I'm feeling right now. My heart and my prayers go out to Erica and their two beautiful children and the entire TPUSA family. He has such a great staff of young 20-year-olds running that multi-million-dollar Turning Point USA organization, and they're all just salt of the earth, wonderful, patriotic American kids. And you know, I first joined Charlie in 2015 after I retired from the FBI after 20-some odd years, and was the first security director for Turning Point USA. And our events then, you know, were 200 to 300 kids when initially started. And then by the time I left in 2022, you know, we were having events of 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 students. He was a force to be reckoned with. What he did for the young people of this nation in getting them rallied around the conservative movement and to speak out against wokeism and to speak out against, you know, communism. You know, he would have kids from Venezuela that he would talk about and talk with, and how horrible communism is, to get the young people who are on college campuses thinking communism is the next greatest thing, and he would refute that. And he did it with love and compassion. And again, those 7 years with Charlie, they were magnificent. To watch the growth of that organization was a sheer joy and an honor. I met so many amazing people through the Turning Point USA organization. And again, my heart just goes out to Erica and the two kids, and just God bless them. Give her peace. I know she is a true believer, as was Charlie, and I know that gives her some peace. But we lost an American icon today.
I agree, Greg. As a man you knew for 7 years and worked for him, I'm sorry for your loss, Greg. Thank you for being with us here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I just mentioned, Charlie Kirk has died at a hospital in Utah. At the risk of sounding repetitive, Charlie Kirk was an incredible man. Charlie Kirk was a good friend, not just to me, for anyone who holds a microphone and anyone involved in politics, anyone he came into contact with. You'll hear it repeated on numerous occasions that Charlie Kirk was my friend. And that doesn't make either any one of us unique. It makes Charlie Kirk unique, because every single one of us would get a text, would get a direct message, would get a call from Charlie, encouraging us, congratulating us, complimenting a conversation or a segment. In a business that is full of ego, in a business that is full of competition, Charlie Kirk was a true friend. Charlie Kirk was also a major, influential presence in the United States of America, who's already been described by the President of the United States as legendary. No one has marshaled the youth in this country in my lifetime in the way of Charlie Kirk. Whether or not it's my children, who I will talk to tonight when I go home, 2 young boys, teenagers, who know Charlie Kirk, who listen to Charlie Kirk, or the kids that I meet on college campuses before big noon kickoff on Fox Sports at Ohio State, who want to ask me about Charlie Kirk. In the thousands and tens of thousands across this country, from college campus to college campus, Charlie Kirk has been a major influence on the young people of this country. But his influence didn't stop on college campuses. Charlie Kirk's influence extended to the heights of power in the United States of America. A personal friend, I know, to the Secretary of War, to the Secretary of State, to the Vice President of the United States, to the President of the United States. Charlie Kirk's influence literally knew no bounds, and he changed America for the better. For those that hate and those that disagree and that can find no other way to respond but with violence. You did nothing today but to point out the important influence and the great man that was Charlie Kirk. Let's bring in Fox News senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich with reaction from the White House now. Jackie?
Yeah, well, we are digesting the news the same as you. The confirmation from the president that Charlie Kirk has passed away, really just putting a finer point on the concern and worry that had been sort of settling in here at the White House for the last hour or so before this news came out. I went upstairs to the press area to see if we would be getting any updates from officials after we'd been told earlier that the Secret Service, that the Situation Room and the National Security Advisor were monitoring the situation, and then got a lot of silence from there, and the worry sort of began to creep in. We've been told by the Secret Service that they are not able to give us an update on any security posture changes that might be happening for the president in light of this act of political violence. Obviously, a concern for everyone here who are going to go home tonight thinking about this, their friend who has lost his life as a result of the political violence in this country. That was the message that Charlie Kirk shared on his last post on X, to that effect, that you have to talk about those things in political terms or else it's not going to change. That was his message. And I think that in the coming days we'll be doing some reflecting on that. As far as any information on what we might be seeing tonight in terms of flags coming down, or any other displays, we'll certainly keep you updated on that. But this is just developing news. And I'll also note that, the mention from President Trump of Charlie no longer being with us, calling him a legend and someone who's dear and admired by him and everybody else, is notable. President Trump had 2 attempts on his life. And so that is something I'm sure hits very close to him as well. We will continue to bring you any more information, but the outpourings of just sadness and sympathy and also outrage that this could happen, we're seeing that come in real time. Will.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. I want to go now to political commentator and college freshman Brillen Hollyhand, and he is a close friend of Charlie, and he's been in touch with the Kirk family all day long. Brillen,
if that news isn't bad enough, let me add some salt into the wound. There is no suspect in custody. The guy that they arrested was, I guess, just some other loon. It says, Justin, no suspect is in custody at this moment in the Charlie Kirk assassination, according to Utah Valley University spokesperson Eleanor Traynor. The university says Kirk was shot from the university's Losi Center 200 yards away. A sniper shot. The police have determined that a person who was taken into custody after the shooting was not actually the shooter, according to Scott Trotter, a university spokesman. The university had earlier said the suspect was in custody, but that is not the case. So Charlie Kirk is gone. And I don't know where, as a nation, we even go from here. But I think it's going to be bad. I think people finally have had enough. Up to here. I know I have. I'm pretty sure you have. You know, tomorrow is September 11th, and will be 24 years since the tragedy at September 11th. So people are going to be trying to focus on what happened 24 years ago that changed our country. And then this one, you know, we had July 13th, and this here has to change people. I have no doubt at this point people are going to realize and accept the fact that we cannot look at these people with any sort of, I don't even know, conjugality. I want nothing to do with people who we're going to see over the next couple of days are going to be nuts saying it's Trump's fault. It's January 6th fault. He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. I have no patience for them. And I got to go and spend some time with the wife, so I'll be here a little bit longer. But I know what we're going to be doing in addition to praying is start planning what we're going to do. What are you going to buy? Make sure you're ready. And then still be some people who are complete pacifists and say, don't react in a bad way. I wish somebody would tell me, how am I supposed to react? How are you supposed to react after what you've seen in the last 7 days? I had an entire show planned that's still in the can, but one of the parts of the show let me show you the first 2 minutes of what I was going to show you in that lead off my show. I want you to see this. This is just the first 2 minutes. Watch this.
30-day emergency order in D.C. is set to expire later today. That's unless Congress extends it. So Trump actually came face-to-face with protesters as he celebrated the takeover with a night out. Here's what they were saying to him.
You tell me how these people got within 20 or 30 feet of the President of the United States, and nobody checked them. They walked right into a restaurant where he was with Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, the entire top of our government was having dinner here, and these morons were able to walk freely into the restaurant and nobody stopped them. I don't know if you've seen this. It's insane.
Actually haven't seen someone kind of yelling the Free Palestine at a president since Biden. I thought that was sort of an interesting moment. This was inside a seafood restaurant near the White House. Trump went there to have dinner. You can hear them yelling Free DC, Free Palestine. And also Trump is the Hitler of our time. So dining with the president was Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. The president is declaring that D.C. is now a safe place to go out.
The restaurants now are booming. People are going out to dinner where they didn't go out for years, and it's a safe city. And I just want to thank the National Guard. We loved working with the mayor and the chief, and we all work together, and the outcome is really spectacular. We have a capital that's very, very safe.
Well, I think what's important is that this.
Explain to me how these nuts were that close to the President of the United States. They just barged into the restaurant. They could have been carrying guns. They could have been carrying bombs. They could have been carrying chemicals. Anything. And they were within literally 15 to 20 feet of him. Completely unvetted. How does that happen? The start of my show is going to be, as you saw, it was going to be about the security breach for President Trump that nobody's talking about today. And I just said to myself, how did that happen? How did they get... I want to show you this part of it too, because this part of what I was going to show you was probably quite impressive. And it shows you the type of guy President Trump is. Instead of cowering, instead of running away, he turned and confronted them. And he knew none of them were vetted. He knew none of them have been checked by the Secret Service, and he did not run, which is so important right now. Watch this.
Enjoy your dinner. Thank you.
He left his table, got up, and walked towards them. Look, you can see he is literally 15 feet away from these nuts. He didn't back down an inch. That's what I was going to begin the show with before this all happened. What do we got here? Before this all happened, this is what I was going to begin the show with. And little did I know we would be diverting to something much worse. But how did that happen? How did these nuts, number one, how'd they know he was going? Nobody knew where he was going. If you guys were watching the show yesterday, he was supposed to be signing a proclamation at 4:30 and coming on camera, and he didn't. And all of a sudden we got notification that the motorcade was en route somewhere undisclosed. And then they go outside and they block off all the streets so he can walk into the restaurant safely. And these nuts run in. And as you saw, he's standing there. Where was the Secret Service? How were they not tackling either him or all those nuts? It chilled me then, and it's chilling me even more watching this. This is absolute insanity that those people got that close to the President of the United States. So, yeah, pray for him. What do we got here? I guess this Fox is doing another tribute.
Area of the campus, a sort of amphitheater, buildings facing him about 100 to 200 yards away. He was addressing a crowd that looked to be up to a couple of thousand strong. He had been handing out baseball caps, smiling with the crowd, talking to those who had come to eagerly see him and listen to his words. And then in video we have seen, but are not showing for very obvious reasons, you hear as after Charlie Kirk sits down behind a desk underneath that small tent, you hear a single shot ring out. It appears to be from some sort of high-powered rifle, clearly shot from a distance. And then in one particularly gruesome video, you can see the bullet strike Charlie Kirk. It appears to hit him directly in the neck. You see a gush of blood, and then obviously, as you can imagine, the crowd running in every direction, absolutely terrified. We have seen pictures of Charlie Kirk then being carried away by people to be who appear to be security guards not in uniform. There are obviously going to be questions about the security that was in place there, but this was, as Jason Chaffetz was saying, who was there on scene, an outdoor event in a conservative part of a conservative state. It's a very crime-free city, Orem. I know it well personally from family connections there. And nobody expected anything like this. It is a dreadful scene there now. The shooter appears to still be on the run at this point. Somebody was taken into custody earlier. We saw that on video. Appeared to be a more elderly gentleman. As we understand it, Dana, that man has now been released from custody and had nothing whatsoever to do with the shooting. So there is obviously very much now an urgent manhunt underway to find whoever carried out this shooting. And from the way it played out, the way it was set up, Dana, you have to think that this was very much planned and carried out by somebody very familiar with and competent with the use of a high-powered rifle. The ultimate outcome of all of this, Charlie Kirk dead at 31. Dana?
Thank you, Jonathan. And So we cover a lot of events here, and many of them don't touch us personally, but this one does. Charlie was a giant human, especially to me, one of the tallest people I've ever been around, but a huge heart, and what an impact. Kennedy and I just saw earlier in the green room, you know, he was born in 1993, and you have to take, if you're our age, you think about that and like the impact that this young man had. And this shooting is a watershed moment for our country, and I believe, and I think my colleagues here will agree, the nation needs a circuit breaker. This is unacceptable. It's so tragic, and he touched a lot of people and a lot of people's hearts. You're going to hear a lot about more about that in the next hour and in the coming hours here on Fox News. His first television hit, Greg Gutfeld, was Fox and Friends in 2012. Believe it or not. So we've known the young man for a long time, and may he rest in peace.
Yeah, he's. I've known him for probably 10 years. I mean, it's hard to gather your thoughts beyond just horror. So instead, I mean, you know, Charlie was such a force of nature. He was brilliant and he was funny, but what scared people was his persuasiveness. The only way to take him down because he could persuade you so strongly was to kill him. You know, and the shock and despair that we are feeling, and I mean we as in shared by everyone at home and around this table and in this building, it's a testament to the impact of Charlie's friendship and his bravery and his character.
Wasn't easy, but
and it's so deep a wound that we all feel.
Some people may call it a hero. Some people may call it,
feels like
guardian angel.
He's one of us.
I'll take that, but
he's
just
part of
guy.
us. Because he was such genuinely a patriot and a great person. So how do you work through this stuff? You know, it's not about him or me. It's us, the viewers. You are us. What do we do? Well, you still do what you always do, but you do more of it. You stand up, you speak up, and you share the risk. Right now, you are recoiling, but you have to come back and return stronger, more fortified, and more resilient. What is ironic, fittingly, I guess, is that this is a turning point.
At 6 p.m. I know you knew him well, too.
Yeah, we're sick, we're sad, we're angry, and we're resolute. And we're going to avenge Charlie's death in the way Charlie would want it to be avenged. He was such a beautiful boy. He was an American boy. And he was incredibly positive. He was full of energy and life. And he made politics fun. You see it at his events when things blow up and the music plays. And we haven't had that in a very long time in this country. Every time he did a hit on my show, he would text me afterwards, "Thank you, Jesse. I really appreciate having you on." Yep. And my daughter loved him. I mean, she's 13 years old. This is a man who touched an entire generation of Americans and electrified them and made them patriots. And this is not a controversial person. This is not a polarizing guy, a divisive person, a firebrand that he's being described as in the media. This is like a guy that you have a barbecue with at your summer house. This is the kind of guy, if you came back with your daughter, you'd say, "Thank God, we got a good one." He's a great athlete. He's a great person. He's a great Christian. You see his family out there. He had his kids not facing the photos because he wanted to protect them, because he knew how evil people were. So when he goes out to these college campuses, he's not provoking anybody. He's like Socrates. He asks questions, and he does it with a smile. And there's nothing controversial about saying socialism is worse than capitalism. Men and women are different. Let's put America first, because that's all he was about. Putting America first. And as Greg said, this hits differently because Charlie was one of us. And Trump gets hit in the ear. Charlie gets shot dead. They came after Kavanaugh with a rifle to his neighborhood. They went after Musk's cars. They just shot 2 Jews outside the embassy. Think about it. Scalise got shot, barely survived. It's happening. You got trans shooters. You got riots in LA. They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? And that's the question we're just going to have to ask ourselves. Now, Charlie would want us to put as much pressure on these people as possible. Dana nailed it. This is unacceptable and has to stop. And it has to stop now. And everybody's accountable. And we're watching what they're saying on television and who's saying what. The politicians, and the media, and all these rats out there. This can never happen again. It ends now. Greg's right again. This is a turning point, and we know which direction we're going.
Turning point used so appropriately there. This is also in Joe Biden has posted on X a statement. He said there is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. Sure to have many more of these statements to come through. Harold, you also knew Charlie Kirk.
I met Charlie a few times. First off, my condolences and prayers to his family. This is a young dad. The kind of pain that his wife has to be experiencing as she is channeling her own kids, she should know she'll be lifted in my family's prayers tonight. You all have said it. This is horrifying. It's profoundly sad. A 31, 32-year-old young man. I know he was born in 1993. I don't know his exact birthday, but he'd been 32 this year if he wasn't already. I don't know all the details about the shooter or any of those things. I'm sure we will learn and rightly learn. But our infatuation with like our own politics and our own ideas causes us, I think, to drown in these thoughts and these justifications. I've read some things and seen some things that people have said today who have talked about Charlie's politics in a way that it sounds as if they are trying to bring some understanding or justification for this. There's no justification for this. Charlie and I didn't agree on a lot of politics, a lot of the paths to solve political problems. But I viewed his thoughts and ideas as ways to try to help make my thoughts and ideas better. Politics at its best is that. We're going to hear a lot over the coming days on both sides, those who adored Charlie and his politics, those who did not like Charlie, did not like his politics. But there's no place in our country. There's no place, if you love America, if you love freedom, if you indeed want to make America, whatever side you sit on, Democrat or Republican, the greatest nation in the world, and believe it is, you can't in any way defend this or justify this. I close where I started. I don't know Erica, but my thoughts and prayers to her and to his daughter and to his son.
Free speech lives high in your list of priorities, Kennedy.
Absolutely. And you think about all of us go out there and we want to meet the public. We want to speak. We want to speak our minds. We are fortunate enough to have been given a microphone and this medium to talk about ideas and amplify what we believe is right. It is okay to be polarizing. It is okay to be a lightning rod. It is okay for people to disagree with you. It is not okay to take someone's life. And you know, there are people who have tried to justify what happened based on the reaction that Charlie Kirk stirred in people. I will tell you this, as Jesse said, his daughter loved Charlie Kirk. My daughter is a junior in college. A lot of them only get their news from TikTok, and they all know who Charlie Kirk is. Because using the Socratic method, he has confronted the sophistry of socialism and progressivism on college campuses. That was his life's work, and they all knew who he was. And as they shared those videos, many of those young people questioned their beliefs, maybe for the first time in their lives. And it's okay to do that as well. And I hope they continue to do that, and that his shadow resonates for generations of people who are able to sit down with those they disagree with and have a conversation with them and confront them with the inadequacies of their arguments, hoping that they come to the side that Charlie Kirk lived and believed was right.
And he did it with good cheer, a happy warrior. There's one other thing I want to mention before we bring in our next guest that you're going to want to hear from. In the last several months, there have been new studies that show that younger people, especially younger men, more than ever want to get married, want to have children, want to become good fathers, want to have families. And because his following went from 2012 through today in 2025, you have to, I believe, that he was a part of that change. And good for him for having done so. I want to bring in somebody else who knew him well and who used to sit here with us. Jeanine Pirro, U.S. Attorney for Washington, D.C., joins us. Good morning, or good afternoon, Judge, excuse me.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be with you, but certainly on a day like today, it's heartbreaking for all of us. Like everyone, I've known Charlie for 10 or 12 years, and I'm heartbroken. I'm heartbroken because we had someone who literally was a voice for a generation, someone who literally could turn out young people and change an election. He was a passionate voice for conservative values, and he empowered young people. And he used this Prove Me Wrong tour to spark open debate on campuses across the country. His work inspired millions of young people, and he will leave a legacy of challenging ideas and fighting for what he believed in. Today, and I'm brokenhearted as I look at his photos, I mean, right now we have lost a true warrior for freedom and open discourse. And Charlie wasn't just a commentator or an activist. He was, and I think Greg may have said this, and I agree, he was a force of nature. He built Turning Point USA from the ground up, and he gave young conservatives a platform in a world that often tried to silence them on university campuses, preventing them from saying what they believed, getting people to write papers that they didn't agree with just to get a good grade. His movement embodied everything that he believed in. He invited the tough questions, and he debated ideas head on, and he proved what we've always known, but so few people use it. He proved that truth wins when it's tested. That's what Charlie Kirk did. And look, I knew that he was a bold voice many years ago and a man of deep conviction. And I got to tell you, Dana, you're right. I mean, his belief in family, his marrying Erica, his 2 children, his unwavering loyalty to his friends. I mean, he leaves behind an incredible legacy, a movement that will only become stronger because of this young man who made a decision to take a different course. He created it, and he had all of us following him. And, you know, they talk about, you know, fascism and all that. The ones that are trying to silence the dialogue, they're the ones who are the true fascists. And what I know of Charlie is that he would want us to keep fighting. He would want us to keep fighting with words, to build a debate, to prove our doubters wrong. And in the end, Charlie proved us all right about what matters. And what we need to tell Charlie is that we will continue to carry the torch that he created on the road that he took, because this is a man who will be legendary. He changed. As far as I'm concerned, he changed an election because he was strong and he believed in young people.
Judge Jeanine, your voice is most welcome here today. Thank you. We'll be in touch with you as well.
Guys. All right.
Greg, one of the things that Charlie did, I don't know what happened early on in his life, but at 18, was when he enthusiastically created Turning Point.
Yeah.
The goal of going into the lion's den of these college campuses.
It's so funny because I didn't have that when I was in college. So the amazing thing about Turning Point was that it connected you with other people that may think like you or even not even like that, but might not fit in with the orthodoxy of the left-wing campus. So it wasn't like, hey, we're all going to become right-wingers. It was more like, you know, there are other people like you here that may not agree with what's going on. And he reminds me of the late Andrew Breitbart in the sense that it was like, you know, why not? Why not do this? You know, why not challenge this leftist orthodoxy? Doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. I don't know if he was that ambitious because, I mean, I don't know if you could foresee something this big happening. But I remember, like, speaking at these events and just walking around and going like, I could not imagine having this when I was in college. It's insane. And how lucky.
Did you need it then, or do you think things have changed so much that he was a part of that?
Oh, I think that, well, when I was in school, there was only one side. I went to Berkeley and you kept your mouth shut.
Yeah.
You know, so what he did was he was able to give students the confidence to sit in a classroom and challenge a professor when he says America is the land of the oppressed, the genociders, and this kid will raise his hand and go, you know, maybe I disagree. It goes back to those three words that I always use. Well, he created a mechanism to share the risk. And you saw, I mean, this was a machine that literally shared the risk. You're not alone. You're going to meet all these people that are just like you. And it's going to be easier.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of power in that. I was going to bring this up, Jesse. I'll give you a couple of statistics just to have a transition here. So he has a nationwide campus reach. 3,500 high school and college campuses have a Turning Point chapter. There are 750,000 student activists. He has 300 full-time staff, 85 million online followers. Wow. And you can see also that in the UK and Europe, this is also starting to take a hold a little bit there. Its revenue was $81 million. They had things like the Professor Watch List initiative that would try to find a way to root out professors that were discriminating against conservative views or promoting just liberal ideologies. That's really an incredible thing for somebody that young.
Yeah, he would smile if I said that he was the greatest community organizer in American history. But he is. I mean, you name the chapters and the amount of people that he inspired at that level. He is credited with sometimes winning Arizona last election. And what he did on the ground in places like Michigan, the president owes him big time. And the president is obviously incredibly grateful. He's so much more than a campus guy. I mean, this guy was walking in the halls of power for the last several years. He had huge amounts of input on policy, one of the greatest communicators of the generation, tight with the president, with Vance, with Don Jr. It can't be understated how big of a figure he was in this movement. And the fact that they took out a lieutenant with a bullet makes me so angry. And Greg is so right. Two men, Breitbart and Kirk, were taken way too early. And it feels like a piece of America was taken. I mean, this guy loved this country so much. He dedicated his entire life to this job. Charlie never took vacation. I never knew him to take vacation. He always was working. And the fact that he went in, as you mentioned, to these college campuses, he went into the belly of the beast. And he knew these campuses were the kind of the cauldron of anti-Americanism. And he went right in and he watched the professors. And he went right in and he galvanized the students to stand up for themselves and push back and use logic and their gut instincts to change the course of history. And he did. And now it's cool to be conservative when you're young. I mean, completely flipped the script.
I was thinking about that the other day. Like, who would have thought that we'd become mainstream? He apparently, I got this from my assistant, Kate. He said, Charlie Kirk said he always felt like a bit of an outsider in high school because he was open about his conservative views while most of his peers leaned left. And when he started Turning Point USA, Kennedy, He was 18 years old. He worked from his parents' garage, making cold calls to raise money. And this was the mission statement: identify, educate, train, and organize students to promote the principles of freedom, free markets, and limited government. And we are watching here live, Kennedy, the flag being lowered to half-mast in honor of Charlie Kirk's life. This was at the order of the President of the United States, who issued the first statement after Charlie Kirk's death had been confirmed. And these flags will fly at half-mast until 6 p.m. on Sunday evening this weekend. Kennedy, more thoughts?
It's stunning. So, yeah, I'm going to go back to Socrates, who did the very same thing and challenged the bureaucrats and the status quo and those in power because he knew that through using skepticism and philosophy, he would come to the right answer. And he paid with his life. He was sentenced to death. And who was shocked into a career in philosophy to continue the fight? Plato. So there's an entire generation of people who have heard Charlie Kirk's message. They have interfaced with him on campus. They have been moved into action at Turning Point USA events. And now is a time for them to be galvanized to the next stage of their life and take the movement into the next generation and the next direction. I remember being on the Bob Dole 96 Hours to Victory tour and asking one of his strategists, a Republican strategist, why don't you reach out to younger people? Because I knew I couldn't have been alone. At the time, I was a Republican while I was on MTV, and I was very skeptical of the Clintonian Democrats and the way our direction would lurch leftward if left unchecked. And he said at the time, kids don't vote Republican. You know, what's the point of wasting the time and money? And Charlie Kirk found that philosophy unacceptable. And that's why he is a great American inventor, because this is how the Industrial Revolution went forth, was because of tinkerers and inventors who saw problems and chose to solve them themselves. And he did that from a very young age because he knew that he wasn't the only one who was being ignored. He knew he wasn't the only one who was being shepherded into groupthink. So he decided to make a change because he knew under the right circumstances, with the right message, it would become a conflagration.
And let me just read this to you. The RNC has released the following statement on the shooting that took the life of Charlie Kirk. It says, Charlie Kirk was a father, husband, and dedicated patriot who spent his life defending conservative values and inspiring young Americans. Our hearts break for his wife, children, loved ones, and countless supporters across the country. The horrifying violence at Utah Valley University that took the life of Charlie Kirk is utterly appalling. Republicans and Democrats alike must stand united in condemning this brutality that has no place in America. In just a moment, we're going to have a chance to talk with Paul Morrow because we have a situation on our hands where the shooter is still at large. And we'll get an update on that and also the broader discussion with him. I do have actually here a statement from President Obama. Let me read it here. President Obama posted this on X. We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, but this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife, Erica, and their 2 young children. Harold, before we talk to Paul.
When I was in high school, in D.C., a big club on my campus is called the Government Club. And we were divided in liberals and conservatives. And frankly, I didn't fully understand what those terms meant. I knew what the vernacular and what the political dialogue at the moment was. And I was president of the club for the liberals. And my friend was the president of the conservatives. We had some of the greatest conversations. Our friendship flourishes today. I'm godfather to one of his kids. We don't agree on everything. I would hope that tonight, as an appreciation and a salute to Charlie, if you are around a family member or a friend or a coworker whom you have disagreements with, politically or for that matter on any matters, find something before you leave them this afternoon or this evening that you agree on and hug. Let us understand the debate is good. I've shared around this table, when I was in law school, we'd have these great raging debates in con law and at the constitutional law. And I would take my friends that were on one side and take the friends that were on my side, and I'd have dinner. My dad was kind enough to buy the dinners on Wednesday night there on State Street. And we'd sit, and the only rule was that if someone said something that deconstructed or defeated or undermined your argument, you had to concede. not stop, but concede and talk about your answers and the things that you wanted to see happen. And we had some great discussions, great debates, and some of those guys, not some of those guys, many of those people, not all of them, remain great friends of mine. And we still have these conversations today. One of the things that exercise taught me, and I think one of the things that Charlie taught those who agreed with him, who didn't agree with him, he fought valiantly and with dignity with lots of words and no weapons, and that should be the message today as well, is that if you're an active thinker, if you seek to be smart and seek to be informed, then you'll never be a static or stationary thinker. And what I draw from all of this is this low, unfortunate, tragic place we've descended to as a country where we think violence. Someone, I think it might have been you, Greg, that said or maybe you, Jesse, that said that you shoot him and you kill him and you take his ideas. You won't take his ideas off the table by shooting him, or for that matter, shooting someone you disagree with or trying to kill someone you disagree with. We're the greatest country in the world, and you talked about the foundation that Kennedy, you talked about Socrates and Plato, and everyone around the table has. One thing I'll leave you with, we talk about Socrates and Plato. No one ever asked during that era who was the richest person. They wanted to know who was the most thoughtful, who had the best ideas, and who was willing not just to have an open mind, but who was willing not only to debate, but to make things better. Again, my prayers and condolences to young Erica Kirk and her family.
Before we go to Paul Morrow, I don't think that that Paul Ryan would mind me sharing this story. I was once at a bar where there was a small event, and Paul Ryan, the former speaker, and Charlie Kirk were having a good conversation and just sitting around having a drink. And these younger people that worked at the bar came up, and they really wanted to get a picture. But not with Paul Ryan. They wanted a picture with Charlie Kirk. And Paul Ryan took pictures for each of them on their phones. Paul Ryan taking the pictures of those young people with Charlie Kirk. And it was a sweet memory that just came to mind. Let's bring in Paul Morrow. He's a former NYPD inspector. He's a Fox News contributor who can speak to, one, I think the manhunt is of interest, and then the broader story. Paul, of course, I know you have a lot of thoughts about somebody like this and the impact that they had in just 31 years on Earth.
Yeah, of course I do. You around the table have all echoed a lot of it. You know, Maya Angelou said that courage is the virtue that's required for all others. And when I see something like this, it's all I can think of in terms of what he was made of. This is a guy who knew that there were a lot of people against him, and how efficacious he was is what inspired that. I know a lot of young people in my family who were aware of him before even I was. And it speaks to how effective he was as a communicator, using media, building that organization. It dawned on me slowly how significant a figure he was. And I'm talking about high school level now. And that's so important, because that meant that you had high schoolers going away to school, away from their normal support networks, family, etc., going in well instructed, let's say, or well prepared, better word, for the fact that they were going to be hearing ideas that they didn't have to necessarily wholesale accept. And I just go back to the idea that the guy's courage was reminding me, as many of you have mentioned, Greg, our old friend Andrew Breitbart, very, very similar. A guy who said, you know what, I know there's danger. I know there's a lot of people who want to shut me up. I'm going to debate with them, and I'm going to debate with them in a genial way and be collegial and debate points. Unfortunately, you know, there is an element, and look, the right has their crazies too, but we're in an era, we're in a season now of leftist violence, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm now on the phone because I'm down in Florida to cover the Ryan Ruth trial. And all this happened when I was in the air. I just learned of it upon touching down. And the irony of that is not lost on me, and what's not lost on me as well is that horrific video that we've all seen by now of Charlie Kirk. Transpose that to Butler and think about how close we came there. And then I got to think forward, being a cop, and I say, how many others are out there? How can we prevent them? And I just hope that the Secret Service is up to the task, because, you know, I'm not entirely reassured by some of the things I've been hearing. And so I just hope we're vigilant, because this is no way to run a nation. We're a nation of ideas. This is not who we are.
Do you have any, I know you just told us that you're there to cover the second assassination attempt on President Trump. by covering the Ryan Ruth trial gets underway after jury selection, and that starts tomorrow. But do you have any information about the manhunt that's underway right now for the person who shot Charlie Kirk?
Only things that I can glean from the limited reporting that's out there. A couple of things I've heard, and I have a little bit of a source on this. But again, I don't want to say anything that's not really confirmed in such dire circumstances. So let me just say this. There was that early report of that one individual that they grabbed and they had on his knees, and he was saying, I don't want to talk. And that went out viral as, okay, here's the shooter. That didn't ring true for me because I thought, I mean, we've all seen the video. That is almost certainly a high-powered round. The school reportedly is saying that the shot came from 200 yards away. If that had been somebody who was in the crowd up front near the stage, you would have seen a long gun because that is a long gun round from what I can see. I'm not a ballistic expert and I wasn't there. But again, from what I can glean, it argues to me that the person they grabbed in front of the stage, since we have not seen any images of a long gun there, it argues to me that the actual shooter is someplace off the set that is not someplace entirely visible because I'd imagine a lot of people had their phones out. They were taking video. So we know that right now the shooter appears to be unapprehended. The person that they did grab might be involved, might not. We don't know. But that was not a handgun round. Now, the bullet that did hit Charlie, God bless him, is right now a vital clue, along with all the stuff.